God says, my child, if you are listening to this message right now, understand this clearly, this message did not come to you by chance. It did not randomly appear on your screen. I guided you here because your heart needed to hear my voice today. I know what you are carrying inside. I know the weight that no one else sees. I know how many times you smiled in front of people while breaking inside. I know how many nights you cried silently, asking me questions you were afraid to ask out loud. My child, I have been watching you from the beginning, and I have never taken my eyes off you. You have been through moments where you felt forgotten. Moments where you wondered if your prayers were reaching heaven at all. You looked around and saw others moving forward while you felt stuck, waiting, struggling, hoping. But hear me carefully today, your waiting season was never a waste. I was working when you thought nothing was happening. I was protecting you when doors closed. I was preparing you when things slowed down. Every delay had a purpose, every tear had meaning, every silent prayer was heard. My child, beautiful times are coming. Not maybe. Not someday. They are coming. Even if you cannot see them yet, they are already on their way. The pain you are feeling right now will not last forever. The heaviness in your heart is temporary. The confusion in your mind will soon turn into clarity. I am about to shift things in your life in ways you did not expect. What felt like rejection was actually redirection. What felt like loss was actually protection. What felt like the end was only the beginning of something greater. You have been strong for so long. Strong when you wanted to give up. Strong when no one checked on you. Strong when life tested you again and again. But today I tell you, you do not have to carry everything alone anymore. Give me your worries. Give me your fears. Give me your broken expectations. Let me fight the battles you were never meant to fight by yours. Some things look foolish to the world, they look unnecessary, illogical, pointless and weak, but God has never chosen things based on how they look. God chooses based on what they can become in His hands. The world says wait until everything makes sense. God says move even when it doesn't. The world says be sure before you act. God says trust me before you see. If you have been holding back because you need clarity, if you have been delaying obedience because you want answers first, if you have been struggling to thank God because life feels heavy, this message is for you because faith was never meant to be understood by everyone. It was meant to be lived by those who trust. God does not ask you to understand the whole plan. He asks you to trust the one who made the plan. Throughout history, God has used what looked foolish to accomplish what looked impossible. A shepherd boy with a sling defeated a giant. An old man built an ark when rain had never fallen. A simple staff parted a sea. A cross brought salvation to the world. None of it made sense in the moment, all of it changed everything later. That is how God works. He reveals purpose after obedience, not before. Right now God may be asking you to do something that feels uncomfortable. Forgive when you want revenge, wait when you want to run, give when you feel empty. Thank Him while the problem still exists and everything in you says this does not make sense, but if it made sense it would not require faith. Faith begins where understanding ends. God is not offended by your questions, but He is honored by your trust. Some of the biggest breakthroughs in your life will come from decisions that looked foolish when you made them. Gratitude in the hard place is one of the strongest forms of faith. Gratitude is not pretending pain does not exist. Gratitude is declaring that God is still good even while it does. You do not thank God because the situation is good. You thank God because He is present in it. You thank God because His promises do not expire during expectations. But God is not limited by your timeline. Delay is not denial. Waiting is not punishment. Silence is not abandonment. What feels like delay is often preparation. God is shaping your character, strengthening your faith, removing what cannot go where He is taking you. You see closed doors and call it rejection. God sees them and calls it protection. You see pressure and think you are breaking. God sees pressure and knows He is shaping you. Never judge God's faithfulness by your feelings. Change. God does not. There will be moments when obedience feels lonely, when faith feels exhausting, when gratitude feels forced. Remember, even Jesus was misunderstood, mocked and rejected. The cross looked foolish to the world, but it was victory in heaven. What looked like defeat became salvation. What looked like silence became resurrection. So if your situation feels like the end, remember God does His greatest work where hope looks gone. Do not quit because you do not see results yet. Do not stop believing because the process is uncomfortable. Do not silence your faith because others do not understand it. Faith is not the absence of fear, it is obedience in the presence of fear. Courage does not always shout, sometimes it whispers. Take one more step. God does not show the whole path, He shows the next step, and when you take it even trembling, even unsure, God meets you there. What looks foolish today will be testimony tomorrow. What looks small now will shake lives later. Trust Him when it makes no sense. Trust Him when it hurts. Trust Him when you are tired. Trust Him while you wait, and while you wait be grateful, not because life is perfect but because God is faithful. He is not late, He is not confused, He has not done what the world calls foolish. God calls faith, and faith in God's hands changes everything. You may not realize it, but this season you are in right now is testing one thing more than anything else: your trust. Not your talent, not your strength, not your connections, but your trust. God often allows situations that strip away everything you usually depend on so that you learn to depend fully on Him, because as long as you have backups, faith remains optional, but when backups are gone, faith becomes necessary, and that is where real growth happens. You keep asking God, why is this taking so long? Why is it so hard? Why does it feel unfair? But God is more interested in who you are becoming than how fast you are arriving. If He gave you everything too early, it might destroy you instead of bless you. So He teaches you patience through delay, humility through weakness, and gratitude through struggle. The world may look at your waiting and call it failure, but heaven looks at your waiting and calls it obedience. You are not wasting time, you are being trained. Every tear you cry, every prayer you whisper, every night you choose not to quit is being recorded by God. Nothing is ignored, nothing is forgotten, nothing is meaningless. Even when it feels like you are standing still, God is moving things behind the scenes, aligning people, removing distractions, closing doors that would have taken you in the wrong direction. You cannot see it now, but one day you will look back and thank God for the delay that once frustrated you, because it saved you from things you were not ready for. There are moments when faith feels lonely, when no one around you understands why you still believe, why you still pray, why you still hope. But remember, obedience is rarely applauded in the moment, it is celebrated later. Noah was mocked until the rain came, Joseph was forgotten until the throne came, David was overlooked until the crown came, and Jesus was rejected until the resurrection. If God has spoken a promise over your life, then opposition is confirmation, not cancellation. The resistance you feel is often proof that you are God. More pressure does not mean you are failing, it means you are growing. You may feel weak, but God's strength is perfected in weakness. You may feel empty, but God fills what is surrendered. You may feel afraid, but fear is not the end. Faith is greater than fear. Even now God is asking you, will you trust me without signs? Will you thank me without answers? Will you obey me without applause? Because that kind of faith moves heaven, that kind of trust shifts atmospheres, that kind of gratitude unlocks doors no man can close. Stay faithful in the unseen, stay thankful in the uncomfortable, stay obedient in the uncertain, because what God is preparing through you is bigger than what you are walking through right now. And when it finally happens, when the breakthrough comes, when the promise manifests, when the waiting ends, you will realize that nothing was wasted, not the pain, not the delay, not the tears. It was all shaping you for what only God could do through your life. God says, my child, if you are listening to this message right now, understand this clearly: this message did not come to you by chance. It did not randomly appear on your screen. I guided you here because your heart needed to hear my voice today. I know what you are carrying inside. I know the weight that no one else sees. I know how many times you smiled in front of people while breaking inside. I know how many nights you cried silently, asking me questions you were afraid to ask out loud. My child, I have been watching you from the beginning, and I have never taken my eyes off you. You have been through moments where you felt forgotten. Moments where you wondered if your prayers were reaching heaven at all. You looked around and saw others moving forward while you felt stuck, waiting, struggling, hoping. But hear me carefully today: your waiting season was never a waste. I was working when you thought nothing was happening. I was protecting you when doors closed. I was preparing you when things slowed down.